Okay, I am now excited to welcome Diego Balderas Allison to provide his pitch.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Of course.
Oops.
Take it away.
Awesome. Hi there, everybody. My name is Diego Allison, and I am the product designer and founder of Resole, an early stage startup focusing on revolutionizing sustainability in the footwear industry. Now, while at UT, I've studied both design and sustainability in order to expand the intersection of both of these disciplines and to ultimately reimagine existing product service systems. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about sustainability. So this is Earth Month, and you all have probably been bombarded with vague, abstract terms around sustainability. And it's important that we realize what sustainability actually means. And at its core, it is to maintain without depleting. So maintaining something without overusing resources. So oftentimes, the most sustainable thing is not really a thing at all. And for example, the most sustainable shoe is not a shoe at all. And so it's important to realize that sustainability can be viewed on a spectrum. Some products are less wasteful than others, and it's important that we understand where products lie on the spectrum. Now, over the past few years, design evolution of consumer goods has happened to design out waste, whether that's through bottles, cutlery, or even razors, to give a few examples. However, footwear has not seen a design revolution like this. Now, to give a little bit of context to the footwear industry, the footwear is the fashion industry's most complex product to design, construct, and innovate. It's 15% of the production of the fashion industry, and 23 billion pairs of shoes are estimated to be produced every year, with 300 million of those being thrown away. So now looking a bit more at footwear itself. So ordinary footwear design, including sustainable footwear design, is static. It consists mainly of three parts: the upper, which is fabric, the midsole, which is foam, and the outsole, which is rubber. All of these components are glued and stitched together to hopefully last 400 miles. However, after that, they're toast, and eventually you will have to go back and buy more pairs, and people end up buying multiple pairs every year. And this shows how disposable footwear actually is. So the main culprit contributing to this, I have identified, is that components of shoes degrade at variable rates with little to no option for consumer repair. That is to say that if one component of the shoe completely gives out, most individuals go and rebuy another shoe. There's not really an option to repair the sole or even the upper of the shoe. However, many people in the industry are realizing this, like leaders Pete Langford, who's a footwear consultant, who advocates that shoes be designed a lot more like cars, in the sense that they can be repaired and taken care of over time. Now, with this in mind, I did a lot of, my design came out, and I did a lot of explorations, did a lot of exploratory prototyping, and even got users to get in the shoes and do some really low fidelity testing. But ultimately, I ended up on this idea of Resole, which is the future of footwear design and manufacture. So unlike ordinary sustainable shoes, which really just integrate sustainable materials into the ordinary construction of shoes, sustainability is addressed with Resole through innovation of construction. So instead of replacing the entire shoe whenever it is deteriorated, users are able to repair components as they deteriorate. Ultimately, this leads to less materials being used per mile. Now, this first shoe consists of this first shoe is Model 1, and it is an everyday shoe for minimalists trying to lower their impact as a consumer. It consists of three parts: the sock, slab, and treads. The socks are just like normal socks, but they're padded around the heel, the ball of the foot, and they also feature a tongue similar to that of an upper. They can be made out of recycled polyester fabrics, and next we have the slabs, which provide cushion and support, and they also cup the foot so that the foot does not fall out while you're mobile. Additionally, you can think of this as a crock, just one single piece of EVA injection molded foam. And then next we've got the tread. So the tread grips the ground, and it also features laces, which offer familiarity to ordinary footwear whenever the user is putting them on. This component can be made out of recycled rubber, and the laces can be made out of polyester material. So there are a number of sustainable benefits that are ultimately achieved through this modular design. The first and most important being the ability to repair as you wear. So this leads to, again, using less materials per mile, which ultimately uses less materials over a lifetime. In addition to these sustainable benefits, there's a number of additional benefits, such as the ability to take apart each of these modules and deep clean them, also saving space within your closet and saving money in your pocket. So initially, I set out and identified two main customer segments, the high miler and the environmentalists. And I'll use an analogy from my experience on the trail talking to both of these customer segments. So the high miler is someone that I saw on the trail multiple days in a row. They were drenched in sweat. They probably put on about 2,000 miles a year. They might have been an athlete, and they're really about hard work and getting those miles in. Contrastingly, the environmentalist is somebody who's a bit younger and a bit more eco-conscious of what they're doing. So they may be out on the trail for a light walk or a light run, really to enjoy nature, and they understand the importance of nature and taking care of it. So after initially considering both of these customer segments, I thought the high miler would be the most ideal fitting place to start. However, this group relies on performance from their shoes, and they do that by being loyal to a certain brand. These were obstacles that were very, very hard to overcome without validation. So I moved on from focusing on the high milers to the environmentalists. Now they have low brand loyalty, and they're really just looking for something that's green. But after talking to a bit of the environmentalists, I realized that not necessarily everybody practiced what they preach. And I decided to pivot a little bit again. So now my target market is focusing on the minimal environmentalists. Like the environmentalists, they're young, but they're much more, sustainability is much more ingrained in their consumption habits. And they embrace this idea of less being more. Another finding that I found from talking to them is that these individuals are very open to doing research and finding new products that will lower their impact, making them perfect for a new design such as resole. So the market at large, the market is large. The US footwear market is, in 2017, produced $80 billion in revenue, and the sustainable US footwear market produced $7.6 billion in revenue. And further, 10% of the sustainable footwear market 10% of the sustainable footwear market that accounts for non-athletic footwear is approximated to be 380 million. So of course, in this large market, there are many competitors to be aware of. First is the large footwear brands such as Nike and Adidas. However, these companies often only focus on materiality and integrate those into one or two products in their entire product range. Next are the niche brands, which really were founded on environmental concerns and sustainability. However, these brands focus on materiality as well, but they do it throughout all of their product line. And then additionally, awesome. And then additionally, the ultra minimalist brands, which think like barefoot shoes, are also a competitor to look after, just because they often do focus on materiality and they really embody this less is more ideal. However, these shoes are not the most popular for everyday wear. Now, the market may be saturated, but resole is very distinct. So ordinary sustainable shoes have a limited repairability and limited lifespan. Contrastingly, resole shoes offer less materials per mile and the ability to repair, while also offering a distinctive look and a new way to consume footwear. So moving forward, after creating the first model, I plan to design and create various styles and colorways so that users can mix and match. After that, I plan to explore materiality further and adopt materials that can be fit for a circular economy, and potentially explore a smart subscription model. After that, I plan to expand the target market from the minimal environmentalists to the environmentalists at large, and eventually, once gaining a reliable enough reputation, reaching out to those athletic people. And lastly, the last phase would be ultimately collaborating with brands and hopefully working with larger brands to integrate them throughout their product lines. Now, I did, excuse me, I did plan for $20,000, but this is for over the summer. I plan to get that much so that I can advance this vision. And I have budgeted $2,000 for material samples, $9,000 for manufacturing samples, $3,500 for overseas development, $500 for further user testing, and $5,000 for intellectual property costs, totaling for $20,000 over the summer. Thank you all for your time, and I'm looking forward to your questions.